Oh my god, Joey, it's good to have you back because we have got to talk about the ending to Donkey Kong Bonanza. It was pretty hype, and I heard you have some things to say about it too.
Oh yeah, I messaged you right during it because I was just like, dude, like, because I knew you were the only one who, like, the only other one I knew who actually got that far to the end point, and it was just like amazing. I was live chatting you like the entire time it was happening, and wow, what a game, what a game.
It was so fun seeing your reaction to it, and it like matched up with like what I had experienced, not long before that. And yeah, because not many people be in this game yet. I'm like, I gotta talk about this with someone, so I'm so glad you hit me up, and we're here to chat about everything. So in case you somehow missed it, you better turn this video off if you don't want major spoilers or haven't beaten the game yourself at this point. We are going to talk about everything in the post-game here. This isn't so much a discussion about the game in general. I really just want to focus on, did I say post-game? I really just want to focus on the end game here, and including the final boss, the ending, everything involving it, and there's a lot to get to. So, I hope you tuned out if you don't want to hear spoilers, but we're getting to it. Joey! King K. Rool is back! King K. Rool is back!
Yes, thank God. Like, we haven't seen this man. I think his last appearance in a Donkey Kong game, man, Croc, whatever. What was his last appearance? Donkey Kong 64, if you don't count Smash Bros, of course.
Officially in the main games, yeah, it was.
Oh man, it's so good to have him back. Like, there was always this hope, this like dream that he would return, like in a final like plot twist, which totally happened. At this point, because he shows up at the during the last battle with Void Kong, which I thought was just the final battle, because at that point I was like, okay, yeah. At that point I was like thinking, okay, there's no way they're just gonna show King K. Rool in this game at this point. That would just be a cop-out. That would just be, oh my god, there he is, 10 out of 10 game.
It's so funny. It could have easily fallen into that stupid Star Fox Adventures trap where you had the last minute twist villain, where like out of nowhere, here's Andross that wasn't teased at all throughout the rest of the game. But it's different. I think it's different here for two key reasons. One, no one cares about Andross. Everyone loves King K. Rool. Secondly, it was done better here. It has a better I don't know if I would say necessarily a better build-up, but I do think it kind of teases his existence a little bit before, better than Star Fox Adventures ever did. And then from that point, there's a lot more to the game, whereas in Adventures, that was basically it. Like, a climax thing was over almost instantly. So yeah, and again, King K. Rool, like, whatever. It's King K. Rool, and they handled it so freaking well. And to your point, too, like, they did a great, like, that boss fight with Void Kong really did feel like the final battle. Like, it wasn't easy. It was tough. And then out of nowhere, seemingly, we got King K. Rool, and you mentioned something yesterday when I was talking to you, that like that it's so obvious looking back that the planet core is his belly.
Yes.
I just totally didn't even think about that leading up to it, which is amazing, so.
Yeah, I felt so stupid when I saw his belly, and I'm like, oh,
of course.
That was what that was. The boy was just sleeping, and then like I just his debut was so like, and when you go in not knowing that that's his belly, right? You see Void Kong, like, I don't know what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to like touch it because he thinks it's the planet core, which will, it's like the Triforce that grants you a wish, like if it's all together. And then all of a sudden, like the frame cuts to King K. Rool opening his eyes, and here I am at 3 a.m. playing this game, trying to get through it for the review, and then I can't yell. Everyone's asleep. I just say, I'm like, no effing way. And I was just so happy that this Croc has returned, and his design almost completely unchanged. Like, Donkey Kong's gone through a complete overhaul, but here he is looking the exact same, and I love it.
He looked fantastic. He looked exactly as I pictured. They didn't do anything weird to his design. He fit in great, and I love too how the game plays into him being back. Like, it kind of subtly is breaking the fourth wall and referencing how he's been gone forever. You have, I think he even said something to the effect of, like, I'm back. When you return to New Donk City in the final segment, all the signs are like, King K. Rool's back. Like, it's so good. It's so hype-inducing. And I love that they are subtly, like, teasing that fourth wall, even if, like, timeline-wise, I don't know how any of this makes sense, and we'll get to that soon enough. But it doesn't matter, because in the moment, it is so hype. It's so fun. And the way, and God, the way they just tied everything together, and like, with his existence, and built up to it with how you have the fake out ending, including the same credits roll from the original featuring the enemy credits, and then you also have, I think honestly my favorite part, Joey, is the ascent. When you're riding, first off, a couple things. We're riding that banana pile up to the surface, which I loved how they merged their two dreams together. DK's bananas are what allows him to reach the surface. Brilliant. But then along the entire way, King K. Rool's fighting you. He's using the jetpack thing from DKC3 and also Smash Brothers. And you got the music kicking in. I was replaying it just before this discussion. Like, it actually made me emotional. Like, it was so freaking good. I loved that whole moment. But then you end up in New Donk City. You got the amazing, like, he took over the entire city, and before that you had the logo too, by the way, with him in it now, which is great. And his logo's like plastered all over the city. And then of course, where else do you fight him but in a giant boxing ring, like in DK64? Like, it's all so good, Joey. Like it's clear that the people who made this game had like passion for the DKC series and specifically King K. Rool, which I didn't know if that existed internally, because Nintendo hasn't, the only in the mainline games, King K. Rool had only ever appeared in the Rare games, and I'm like, does Japan not really even care about him at all? I mean, even Retro Studios didn't really care about King K. Rool as far as we know, and so I honestly was pretty shocked to see him back, even if I did have some jerks pop into my a couple of jerks pop in my stream, like tease his existence, which, they could have been trolling, so I kind of pushed it out of my mind. Ultimately, though, I still had a great time. Though I did hear some people were spoiled by YouTube thumbnails, and that sucks. If someone posted King K. Rool in your thumbnail, you suck, Like, that's not cool.
I feel like we are one of the few people who didn't get spoiled by YouTube thumbnails, because I was just completely blindsided by his appearance. I think my only nitpick is that the game kind of does end, like, it is longer than, Star Fox Adventures introducing Andross, right? But I still wish we had a little longer to, like, be in this post King K. Rool, like, what was it, or post King K. Rool reveal, I should say, of the game, because once he's revealed and he goes into the next sublayer, the enemies then turn into like straight up Kremlings at that point. The Crocoids are no longer these skeletons, which always bugged me, because I'm like, okay, these skeletons are clearly Kremlings. Right. Like, why would you show me something if I can't have that, Nintendo? And now here they are, they're bigger, and they make the same exact noise that they made from Donkey Kong Country, which made me so happy.
That's actually how I first noticed they were Kremlings, because, I was, King K. Rool first appears, and then you fight a couple of those guys, I think, and, they're still, like, wearing the stone masks or whatever, so I didn't even realize that they were actually Kremlings now until I heard that sound. I'm like, wait a second, that was a Kremling sound! Then I took a closer look, I'm like, oh, they're actually Kremlings now, which is really neat. So I do enjoy that, and so, Joey, to be fully honest with you, I think, because I don't disagree with you in general, like, I would have loved even more of it, but at the same time, the weakest point for me of that entire ending sequence, which overall I thought was amazing, so I'm really kind of nitpicking here, that whole segment from when King K. Rool first appears until you go actually fight him again, I kind of hated it. I felt like it kind of ruined the momentum, and I didn't like the continuous battles. I felt like it just went on forever. I'm like, I just want to see more King K. Rool at this point. And I did like the old school enemies popping up, but they're, for the most part, they're wearing those masks or whatever, so you even barely even acknowledge them until you break it off, and then you just have to kill them, real quick with a single punch, and they're out. So that for me was the weakest point, just because I'm like, I just want to, see more of this guy that disappeared rather than these kind of like tedious sequence of battles, or Coliseum type thing. Yeah.
I totally get that. Yeah, the arena stuff was kind of like, okay, let's get going, because for those who don't know, like in the arena, there's an little arena section, and enemies keep popping up, but it never tells you how many enemy waves you have left. So you're kind of just like, okay, can we like continue? I got a giant Croco to fight. Like, let's go. Let's keep going. What I want to bring up, like this, I was looking up an old video I did on GameXplain 4 years ago, where I had a discussion with Tom and Alan. Alan's a friend of mine. I had him guest appear on this video because there were I don't know if people remember, this game was rumored 4 years ago. The Super Mario Odyssey team was developing a 2D Donkey Kong game. The 2D part was not real, of course. And there was a comment on that video from Holy Light 65 saying, King K. Rool better be in this DK game.
Yes.
There you go.
We should reply to him and be like, "Good news," or although that might spoil it for him, so maybe not yet.
Right.
But that would be funny to
like
do in a little bit here. That's awesome. Like it was kind of crazy too. Like that, the time of those rumors now we know going from the recent Nintendo interview with the developers lines up with around the time frame of when they switched from Switch 1 to Switch 2, the game's development. But we know this game began on Switch 1. So I don't know if that's wherever those rumors originally surfaced from. I just thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, it's so great though having King K. Rool and the Kremlings finally back, Joey. Like I really enjoyed DKCR. I love Tropical Freeze, and I actually thought the enemies in that game were good. At the same time, they're still not King K. Rool and the Kremlings, and it's great to finally have them back and acknowledged in the mainline game and in a serious way. But do you think this spells good things for the future? Like, do you think King K. Rool actually is finally back, or is he just going to go away again and this was like a one-time thing?
I'm sorry to say, but my gut tells me this is like a one-time thing. It's just that the Donkey Kong game releases have been so like inconsistent. I don't know what the future. I think after this game, we're kind of like going back questioning what the future of the series is, which hopefully like we don't have to wait 10 years for the next Donkey Kong game.
This game itself almost took 10 years to make by itself.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I really hope this, because I was also wrestling with this idea too in my head. It's just like, this is really cool, but wouldn't it have been just as cool if the Kremlings were there and King K. Rool were there from the beginning? But a part of me is just like, I feel like this final boss segment in general, or just this final 2 hours of the game from his reveal to the end, was made more impactful because we did not know he was going to be here. Then like everything that came at the end was a bonus from the fake out, from that epic final boss battle. Very difficult if you don't have enough apple juice equipped. But yeah, so that's what I'm wondering with my head. But I think it is made more impactful because he was a surprise.
Yeah, I go back and forth on this. We could analyze it all day. Like, would it have been better if the whole gamer just embraced King K. Rool from the start, or is it better that he's a surprise at the end? There's pros and cons, but I think once he appears, like, the momentum is pretty much nonstop, minus, the Coliseum segment. But even that isn't, I may have said I hate it earlier. I think I hate it. But, even that is, like, held up by just knowing King K. Rool's, like, around the corner again. I will say, though, a couple things, for and against it. One, props to Nintendo. Like, that takes balls not to advertise like a major character, like one that they know a lot of people wanted back. The fact that they held off on that is actually awesome. Like, that would have been the easy thing to throw into marketing and get people hyped for it, and saving something like that is awesome. Like, that's really cool. On the other hand, it does suck because in this day and age, it's so freaking hard to avoid spoilers, which are on YouTube, Reddit, social media, TikTok. Just scrolling through your feed, it can just instantly pop up. Do you know how many stupid, I love Disney rides. Do you know how many have had moments spoiled for me? But they pop up and like, oh crap, I know what that is. And before I have time to, get away from it, I'm sure King K. Rool's on there already and being spoiled for tons of people, at this moment. But in any case, for those who are able to experience it as intended, they're in for a shock. They're in for a surprise and a great time. And ultimately, I'm just happy that he's here rather than not, I mean, they could have ended the game at that Void Kong sequence, and they did it. They kept going, and it felt like it meaningfully added to it. So I do appreciate that. Then there's a whole fact that, we went to New Donk City. Like, game, I mean, they'd already to an extent done it with Pauline's existence here at all, but this game really is mirroring the DK and Mario universes more than they ever have been before, besides, the Mario movie. And that's kind of interesting. Like, it makes me wonder, like, are they planning to do more with that angle? Like, are they, because outside of the original Donkey Kong arcade game and spin-offs, like, these have been largely two entirely separate universes. So what do you think of that, Joey?
Yeah, there was also a conversation had with Dixie Kong and Diddy Kong in the Rhino race layer, where they say, "Yep, this is our pal DK. We've been on a lot of adventures together. We even rescued him." And they mentioning Dixie's Diddy's conquest.
Right.
Like, that was a really cool throwback. I mean, of course. Yeah, I mean, of course, obviously this has happened before, but it's really cool to hear them mention it, like, in their own words. And then this is for the same exact world as Mario Odyssey, as confirmed by the existence of New Donk City. And yeah, I really hope they do something interesting with it, and it's more than just a silly little callback to like see these worlds merge together. Maybe we can get like the Super Mario Donkey Kong Country or something. I don't know. But you mentioned this earlier in the discussion too. Like, it's really interesting seeing Nintendo acknowledge the Donkey Kong Country games like this, because they were made by Rare. Of course, Nintendo published them,
right.
but like, this is an in-house Nintendo development studio, basically doing a lot more for like Donkey Kong Country fan service than even the new DKC games did. Of course, the new DKC games are still like, they're 2D. They're obviously way more Donkey Kong Country than this game is, but that entire ending sequence was a love letter to that entire trilogy, and I couldn't love it more than that. Like, it was really good.
It's going to be funny when, 10, 15 years from now, kids who grew up with DKC Returns and then DKC Tropical Freeze, they're going to be like, well, where are the Tikis and where's, the polar enemies, right? Like, they're going to have their own return segment in DK Bonanza 2 or whatever, right?
Yes.
But yeah, it'll be fun to see where they go. Like, are they going to do more with that? Because it is interesting that this convergence with Mario and DK is happening at the same time that the Mario movie also kind of can join these two universes, which again have been largely separate. And also, speaking of which, I do wonder now that just a few weeks ago, there had been the rumor of there being, or not even a rumor, the confirmation that Universal is looking into / making a Donkey Kong movie. Does this confirm King K. Rool will be in it? Like, is this his time to shine now? Is he like back in a larger way than we may think?
Oh man, I really hope so. That would be super cool. They should just get Jack Black to play him again. I'm just kidding. Play two different giant reptiles in the Mario universe. But yeah, it would be awesome, right? And I think, my major, I think I already said, like, my major nitpick is like Donkey Kong Bonanza is great, but there's a lot of stuff in it that doesn't make it feel like a Donkey Kong game. I don't know if I said this before or after we started recording this discussion, but and I don't really consider that like a major flaw of the game. It's kind of like this game could have been an 11 out of 10 if it had like more forest levels or what have you, but instead it's a 10 out of 10 now. But yeah, I wish there was more Donkey Kong vibes in this Donkey Kong game, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense.
But then the end happened with the Kremlings and King K. Rool, and I was just like, okay, you've made up for most of that.
You actually raise an interesting point, because I think that this game overall doesn't feel all that Donkey Kong-like. Whether it's due to the gameplay or a lot of the character designs outside of DK, himself, or the DK cast, of course. Like, the enemies don't really feel... obviously, like, you have the skeletons of the Kremlings, but even they feel fairly divorced from what we know of them. It's not even entirely obvious that they are Kremlings. On the other hand, like, the fan service here is, like, as you were saying, some of the best of any DK game. And, there is, like, the member berry element to it. Like, well, yeah, maybe they're just doing this as fan service to make us happy, and I'm okay with that in this case. Like, it's awesome. I love that. But yeah, I guess in the rest of the game, and maybe, been a little better lived up to the ideals of a Donkey Kong game, I may have enjoyed the overall game more. But keeping it focused on the end game portion here, I think it's one of the best I've experienced from Nintendo. Like, for me, it's almost right. It's basically right up there with Odyssey. I think I may prefer Odyssey just a little bit more, but maybe replaying that, I might prefer Donkey Kong now, because again, replaying it again just before this discussion, like that I love the segment when you're riding the Bonanza up to the surface. It's so good, and I think everything from that point on is pretty much on point. I think if I had a nitpick, I was hoping they might just twist the knife a little bit more on the whole DK and Pauline relationship. Like, I thought they were going to go somewhere just a little bit deeper than they did with it. It was overall pretty surface level, just, so to speak. I almost felt like the way their separation went, like, it was almost a little too clean, like DK's like, yeah, it was good knowing you, I'm out of here, time to get to my bananas. And I think they could have done just a little bit more with it. And also, I was really hoping we were going to get that song that she sings that eventually appears in the credits. I think she sings somewhere else in the game too, but I was really hoping we're going to get one of her songs, like, during the climax, or one of the moments in the climax. And that didn't happen. And I think that would push it over for me for being like the clear winner of between Odyssey, but it's still amazing. So
it is, and we have to talk about the music for one. When during right after the fake out, and then they're fighting on the bananas, like going up to the surface.
Yeah.
What's that? I forgot what that song is called, but it is the King K. Rool theme. Yes. So I was so happy when I heard that, and the remix. The remix goes hard. So hard.
It goes so hard. It is amazing. I can't wait till that gets posted by someone on YouTube. I need to hear that music. It is fantastic. They capture the energy and the tone of the games perfectly there. And I wish we had more of that music throughout the rest of the game. But I'm like, this is what I'm here for, baby. This is so freaking good. And yeah, it was amazing. Like, it just made me so freaking happy, Joey. Like, we may have our nitpicks, but man, as a longtime DKC fan, they were hitting all the right buttons in those moments. I'm like, this is perfect. I love this. And it just made me so happy. Like, it brought out my inner child again. I'm like, this is it. This is perfect. So, and it really makes me wish now that Universal held off just a few years longer on making their theme park, because if they had the Kremlings and King K. Rool there and, you know, fully embraced that rather than the Tikis, that land would be even better than it already is. But I'm getting off track here.
Yeah, I do want to go back and play Donkey Kong Country Returns. I never picked it up on Switch, but that's a whole other story. But I do think, like, playing this ending, it did make me want to go back and play those Donkey Kong Country games, all of them, not even just the originals, because I actually did, like, another throwback to my old GameXplain days. Like, I remember, like, I powered through the Donkey Kong Country trilogy on Switch Online to do like a little discussion video, because I hadn't finished those games before. Like, I've played them numerous times, but I never finished them, and now I feel like I need to play them again, because those are those kind of games you got to play over and over again. Let's be real. Yeah. But yeah, this kind of reignited some DK spark for me. This ending. But first, I need to go do the post game of this.
I love that, and I really hope that's the case for most people. I imagine anyone who's like a longtime DK Donkey Country fan will feel the same way. Like this, like it does remind you like why we fell in love with the series in the first place, which is weird because, you know, King K. Rool, like, he's an ugly looking dude, but I love him. I love him so much. Like, he's such a great villain, and I'm so glad he's back. Like, there is just an energy, an essence about him that they haven't been able to recapture for any villain in the DK series. I will say I do like the ones in Tropical Freeze, but again, they don't compare to King K. Rool. Right. I am a little curious to know how newer fans will take to it, like those who did just grow up with the Returns games, or maybe this is their first Donkey Kong game. Like, what will they think about the whole ending sequence? Like, will they still be impressed by it? Will they even know who he is? Like, I would love to hear their take. You know, like, does it hit on any level with them, or they're just like, who is this guy? You know, like, what's he doing? They're gonna
be like, is this the guy from Smash Bros? Like, what?
Yeah,
I remember. I was gonna say, I do remember his reveal for Smash Bros. Ultimate, and people were just so happy because this was the first time Nintendo even acknowledged the Gator Croc thing in ages, and it was just like, so that was kind of like a semi-glorious return, even though he wasn't in a Donkey Kong game. But now here he is in a Donkey Kong game, and it's just so great.
I wonder if that was the impetus. Like, do you think maybe they saw the reaction to that? Like, we gotta get this guy back into our DK games, you know? Like, people love King K. Rool, and I wonder if that was it. If that was, like, one of the reasons why he returned.
Probably. Yeah. King K. Rool returns instead of Donkey Kong Country returns. There we go. Again, there's the next game. I
did love that they put up that K. Rool logo during the fake credits. That was so good. And then the way he takes over New Donk City. And I love the whole New Donk. I love that they brought it back at all, and that he took it over. But then you see all the businesses, and they tease. There's so many Easter eggs around there. Like, there's like a Tiny Kong business, a Lanky Kong business, Cranky has a record business. There is a God, what else? They have the New Donk City Festival advertisements for it. There's so much going on there, and the build up again to the cage match with King K. Rool was amazing. I thought that was all great. I don't know if you had this experience, Joey. This is interesting for me. So my first time through, I thought the first battle with King K. Rool was shockingly easy. I don't know what it was. I thought it was a pushover. I'm like, man, that was kind of like, I enjoyed it. It was fun. But I mean, that was kind of like a weak final match. And of course, I get to the real match with him. He's a total pain in the butt and like destroyed me over and over. But then I went back and replayed through the final segment again. And the first match gave me a lot more trouble this time. So I don't know what happened. I don't know why I found it more difficult the second time than the first. But what was your experience with the difficulty level there?
Okay, yeah, I did think it was shockingly easy, but I also felt like, okay, this is like most of the bosses in the game. I feel like the bosses in this game are dummy easy, like for the most part.
There was one boss that beat in literally 5 seconds. I got on top, just punched him, and he died, so...
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay, well, this one, it was a little more challenging, I guess. Man, they had 3 fake out final bosses in this game, Andre. 3!
That is a lot. I'm trying to remember them all. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, there was Void Kong, and then there was the first battle with King K. Rool, and then the final battle. There was 2 fake out bosses, I should say then. So, yeah, but then that last boss, oh my god, I was so mad. I was so angry most of the time. But then, as I kept playing, I realized there were like little things you could do to make it easier. Like when he's like after he sends those rot hands after you, and he keeps popping up, you can just throw something at him, and then that'll end that phase of his attack cycle. And then when he sucks everything up, which always like got me, I was like, geez, how do I get past this? You could just throw a piece of like debris at him and it would just clog up his vacuum and then clear up everything because it explodes. So yeah, I know going back it's going to be a lot easier, but for those first timers who are for some reason watching this and not beaten the final boss, yeah, just be sure to upgrade your health as much as you can, but really most importantly just fill all your apple juice slots. Do that, and then it'll be much easier.
So which Kong forms did you end up using, the powered up transformations?
I only use I used 2. I used the Kong one, which is like the default, just make him bigger, and the elephant one,
same here,
to suck up everything. So
that's exactly what I went with. I don't know if there were other options that could work, but those are the 2 I went with as well. So
and I love how the finale makes use of like pretty much all of them, which I just love. That's a trope in video games that I will absolutely appreciate every single time when you have to use everything you've gathered.
When you go to New Donk City.
Stuff. Yes, through the New Donk City segment.
I agree. That was really well done. Again, I loved everything about that. Like, even though this was hour 18 in my stream, I was starting to get a little rummy in the head. I still had a blast with everything in that final segment. It was so good. And I think too, like, that's a hallmark of a good boss design when like it seems impossible at first, like the final battle in particular, but then you start picking up the little intricacies of what actually does work. And then, I died the first time, then I went back and died first 1 or 2 times. Then on the 3rd try, like, I had it down pretty well, and it, once you get it, it's like, oh, this makes a lot more sense, and he's really not all that difficult if you're paying attention. And I appreciate that. Like, that's some good boss design there, unlike a few of the other bosses in the game, which you can defeat, pretty easily, so...
Yeah, crazy.
I want to talk real quick, Joey, about timeline stuff. Like, does this game make any sense in the timeline? Because on the surface, again, so to speak, it doesn't. Because this game, here's the thing. All the Kongs seem to be the exact same age we've seen them before. Donkey, Diddy, Dixie, and Cranky. Yet, Pauline is a kid, then Cranky Kong references, the original Donkey Kong arcade game, hinting at fighting Mario or Jumpman. But then there's the fact that, and then also, as you mentioned, Diddy and Dixie mentioned, their previous escapades saving Donkey Kong. So the only way this makes sense to me is if this is basically a prequel to everything. The Donkey Kong Country games exist before the Mario games, and this game completely overwrites the original Donkey Kong game, even though Cranky mentions it. I can't reconcile how that makes sense. But the only way I can make any sense of this at all is all the DKC games took place before this. This game takes place at basically the earliest point of the Mario timeline, because Pauline's a baby. Then all the Mario games, or not baby, like teenager. Yeah. Then all the games outside Yoshi's Island, the Mario games, take place after this. Does that make sense? What do you make of it?
Sure. I don't think even Nintendo cares about consistency in this case. And yeah, Cranky Kong's just never gonna die. Like, that monkey should have croaked a long time ago if this timeline is at all consistent. But yeah, I know Cranky Kong's the original DK from, the Donkey Kong arcade game. It would have been funny if he said, "Aren't you that girl I kidnapped a long time ago? Like, what's going on? Why are you a baby?"
I didn't even think about about that point. That's a great point, right? But then there's also the fact on top of it all, like, you know, if my timeline makes any sense, there's the fact that in the universe, King K. Rool's been gone for a long time, long enough that the Kremlings turned into skeletons, means there's a huge gap in time in universe there, which doesn't even make sense at all, considering my impression is that Donkey, Diddy, and Dixie at the least are all probably on the younger side too, you know? So, like, what's going on here?
I gotta wonder what that post game is about too, because I kind of started, I guess, because after you roll the credits, the game goes 3 months later, which I'm like, oh, we're doing some time skipping here. What's going on? And then he basically reunites with Pauline, and Pauline is looking for like a great song to perform it in New Donk City, and then you visit the Elder Kongs and then do stuff there. I don't know what's going to happen. If anyone in the comments wants to chime in, please do. I remember Nintendo saying, like, we'll find answers to why Pauline is young in the game, and I didn't find any answers. Did you?
No, I found 0 answers to that. So maybe there's more in the post games. Yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of that yet myself either. So we'll have to wait and see. I might avoid reading the comments for that reason, so I can discover it in the game itself. Even though at this point I'm heavily thinking there isn't anything there that explains it, because it doesn't. I can't even think of how you reconcile it. Like, initially, before we went into the game, I thought maybe there'd be some like either time travel stuff involved or transformation style stuff where they turned her into a kid both physically and mentally. But none of that seems to be the case. They don't really address it on any level, and yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I have heard some theories for people that have suggested that rather than overwriting the original Donkey Kong game, that maybe Lady, as Pauline is known in the original, is a whole separate character, which the game could possibly support, in the sense that there is an advertisement for the Kong, for something called the Kong and the Lady, or the Lady and the Kong rather, I think, or the Lady and the Ape, maybe in New Donk City. But even then, you know, there's also the Donkey Kong, what was it, Mario and Donkey Kong remake on GBA that has straight up Pauline in it, so you'd have to ignore that game too. So I don't think that makes much sense either. I don't know, Joey, the whole thing doesn't make much sense. I know a lot of people are like, it's a Nintendo game, and Mario game, don't expect it to make sense. But on the other hand, it does annoy me a little bit, Joey, because they rarely intentionally like lean into the lore like this game has. Like, they don't play around with characters' ages, you know, often, and have it set in environments and, you know, reference other things, other games that have happened directly, nearly like this game has before. So the fact that they do that, but then still don't really explain it, does rub me just a little bit the wrong way, you know? So
yeah. Also, it just occurred to me, like, Pauline and DK are like BFFs in this game, but I forgot, oh, you're supposed to be kidnapped by this monkey all the damn time. So, like...
Remember, that was technically or Cranky Kong, though, if we stick with that timeline, or that
But
idea.
Doesn't he do that in Mario versus Donkey Kong too at some point? I think in March of the Minis, I thought he kidnapped her still.
Yeah, it may have been. Yeah, I guess you're right, because it is Donkey Kong in that one rather than Cranky Kong, I think. This is why, yeah, there may be no making sense of this, Joey. I don't know. Maybe the chat will have their own theories. Anything else about the ending, though, Joey? Whether King K. Rool, the climax, the story, anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, Donkey Kong's like major wish are more bananas, and I'm like, come on, bro. How many bananas do you freaking need in your life? Jesus. Yeah. Like, you when are you not collecting and eating bananas? Good Lord.
I will say, actually, that brings up a good point. Here's what I thought they could have done, Joey, that would have like been the twist and knife moment I kind of hoped they would do, or lead into it at least, is I think it was a little bit of a cop-out letting them both have their wish. What they should have done was allow only one wish, and have DK be the one to sacrifice his infinite bananas so Pauline can return to the surface. Again, I did think it was cute how they had their wishes intertwined, so that's how you get to the surface, but I think it would have been more emotionally impactful if DK had to sacrifice something. Because in this game, no one makes any sacrifice. Like, they both get their wish, there's a happy ending for everyone, and I think it could have been cooler if they tied it all together. You know, especially with how they were together for the whole game, it would have been nice if they had to have been slightly at odds with not at odds with each other, but like, you know, someone had to sacrifice something in order to win. And they didn't, you know, and I think that could have been, you know, the moment that bled into the more emotional finale, so...
Yeah, DK is the same doofus consistently throughout the entire game, and it's not helped by his stupid redesign. I'm sorry. That thing sucks.
You don't like
awful.
it?
I don't.
Oh,
I thought it would grow. I thought maybe it'll grow on me during this game. It never did. I'm just like, give me the original design. At the same time, though, I feel like I don't think the original design, like, straight up would have worked for this game.
Right.
I feel like there should have been more of a middle ground between, like, this design and the old design, because I feel like this new design, this may sound silly, he's just too expressive. I don't know. He looks like an Adventure Time character. Not an Adventure Time. Steven Universe character.
Okay.
Doesn't look like a Nintendo character. He's a little too... He looks stupid, Andre. He looks like a dummy. The original DK made by Rare looks, I say original, but like, you know, the Rare DK, the one we've been used to for like 30 years. Looks like he is powerful, almighty. Looks like he can take him on. This new guy looks like he has a trust fund from his parents and like has never went through any struggle in his life. That's how I feel.
Can you invest bananas? Like, could he just invest everything he just got from that wish? You know, just like live off the interest on that banana.
And it's still not enough for him, Andre. It's still not enough.
Exactly. Hey, I get that. I actually love both designs. I was a little hesitant with the new one at first initially, but it's really growing on me. But I get that perspective too. This one, this DK is definitely like a little bit of a goofier DK compared to before. And I will say again, to your point, like with the whole ending, the fact that he was so, he didn't seem that broken up by like leaving Paul Lane behind. He was like, yeah, I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm going back to my infinite bananas, and like it's funny, but like it undercuts like what I think could have been a more moving moment. And that's where it's Nintendo, they don't like to dig into that too often, but I feel like maybe they should, and maybe the new design is part of that. Like they didn't want to have a more moving moment. But yeah, so I still again really enjoy the whole ending sequence, but I think there's things that could have done just a little bit better to like really enhance it even more. But what's there is still amazing. But any parting thoughts, Joey? Like, just how did this game feeling you? How did it leave you feeling overall? Like, did you leave on a high point, like feeling really good about everything? Okay.
Oh yes, that ending was just like I was on cloud 9 after that ending. I was like, that was amazing. That was so freaking good. Like it was just a love letter to the entire Donkey Kong like country series, which is not what I expected from a 3D Donkey Kong game at all, let alone one made by Nintendo and not Rare or even Retro Studios in that regard.
Yeah, if you want to compare 3D entries, like especially in the final segment, it's night and day between this and DK64. I honestly thought DK64's whole ending sequence was kind of a drag and not that fun. And so it's funny that this game references that final fight directly, but it's so much better to me. Like, I like that it takes place in the same giant ring, but I'm glad they didn't carry over any of the mechanics from that, because that just took forever and wasn't all that fun. This is fun, it feels great. All the music and everything is fantastic. His transformation into like, what is his transformation called? Do you remember? Like that,
I forgot what it was called.
His weird alternate enhanced form or whatever. But even that
King of the Rot, I think.
Yeah, King of the Rot. That's it, I think. So well done. I loved everything about it, and I'm so glad to have King K. Rool back. I just hope again it's not another 20 years before we see him, or even longer, 25 years before we see him again, because it's been too long. I do think now if they'll add DK64 to the Switch Online expansion pack service soon, now that we have him back, it's like, hey, let's bring back his other 3D adventure, so.
Oh, it's gonna be major whiplash to people who've never played Donkey Kong 64. They're gonna be like, why is this so slow? Why do I have to keep switching characters all the time to collect different colored bananas? Yeah, I love DK64 for nostalgia purposes only. If I didn't have that, I'd probably hate this game. I would be honest.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that these two games do have in common is there are a lot of bananas collected in both. So yeah, if you like collecting bananas, both games will hook you up. But yeah, I think this game is the ending of this game is such a love letter to fans of the series. And, on the one hand, like the cynical part of me is like, I hear the Red Letter Media guys and their ATST type thing, right? And like, I get that. On the other hand, I don't care. It's been so long, I needed this, Joey. And it's so good to have this back. And the way they did it too, like, it wasn't, like, it was done with care. It wasn't just thrown in just for the sake of it being a member berry type thing. I almost said member belly, which would be almost more fitting given King K. Rool's belly here and it being the planet core.
Right.
But the way they did was just so well done. It's so lovingly performed, and it's just great to have him back. So hopefully with the next game, they really go back to their roots, so to speak. Have King K. Rool there for the whole game, or at least be a bigger part of the experience. And I really hope we're entering a new era now, where with this DK game, or this DK movie rather, King K. Rool is a villain of it. Like, not to get too off tangent here, I really hope that, like, my hope is that it's a prequel. So we're gonna see what led, why the hell does Cranky Kong have an army? Well, because he had to fight off King K. Rool, or rather, they learned from that experience that they need an army to fight off King K. Rool. And I think that'd be such a fun way of tying, the Mario movie and the DKC games together, where it's like, well, yeah, we have this more rural area where they realized, hey, we have to build up a civilization in order to keep him at bay, and King K. Rool's the impetus for all that. So, anyways, yeah, Bananza's ending, I think one of the best I've experienced in a 3D Nintendo game in a long time outside of Odyssey, and that's awesome. So, Joey, any final parting thoughts that we haven't touched on already? I know we already mentioned it, but...
Not really, man. It was just so good, and like that's how you get me too, is with music, and like the return of that King K. Rool theme was just like so good to me.
So well done, so great. Well, Joey, it was fun discussing this with you. It was great having you back, and if people want to hear more from you, including I believe your upcoming review on the games, I think you're going to go in even deeper in on everything. Where can people follow you at?
All right, 2 places. You can find me on my channel, Ferris Wheel Pro, where I basically I talk about whatever, mostly Nintendo and just video games in general, and also Commonwealth Realm, which is where my Donkey Kong Bananza review is going to be happening. I have to finish writing it as soon as we're done recording, and then it who knows, it might be up by the time this video is up. So go check that out. It's going to be a brutally honest review. Maybe not as brutal as what I described as DK's new design. Like, maybe not that brutal, but yeah.
Is it a brutal review, like the Brutals from Mario Odyssey?
I thought that as soon as I said it too. I was like, oh jeez.
I'll pick up those missed shots. So,
yes,
for better or worse. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the ending as much as we did. If you didn't, or if you did, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, go give Joey a follow on his channel or on both his channels, or both channels Joey works on.
Right.
And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Donkey Kong Bananza, including my own thoughts, I'm sure, at some point on the whole game and everything else here, DK and Nintendo as well. With that, we'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.